All right, all right, all right. Here we go, here we go. Hello, hello, hello. For those who are coming in, hello, everyone. So, I know I'm not Lynette. For those who are coming in, I am covering for Lynette. This is Let's Talk About Grief. I am Lynette's bestie, Sister Goose. And today we are going to talk about grief. This has been on Lynette's heart to talk about this subject. For those of you who do not know, Lynette has lost her mother during this past few months. And God has put it on her heart to write a book called Letters to Mom, which is available for pre-order now for $25, which you can go and click the link in our bio to purchase your copy right now. Yes, 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 because I got mine. So I'm just like, if you ain't get yours, you might want to go do that. Hey, hello, how are you doing? So we are going to be talking about grief today. For those of you who do not know me, I am Lynette's, as she calls us, best friend. Yes, I'm one of her best friends. And my name is Sister Goose. I am the author of Bless This Mess Ruth, Volume 1. I'm also one of Lynette's students. For those of you who do not know, she is a writing coach. And I was so honored when she asked me to come on here and talk about the topic of grief, and with our special guest, Miss Stacy, who I am about to bring up to the live right now. So I'm so excited to talk about this topic because, as me and Lynette talked about before, I feel like this is a topic that no one really wants to touch, no one really wants to talk about, and not only that, but it's really hard to talk about. So today we're going to do that. So let me invite Miss Stacy up. Here we go. All right, Stacy, I just sent you a request. Go ahead and hit that. Hey, Stacy.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I am doing well, doing well. The beautiful wreath behind me is not a headpiece. Just wanted to kind of step to the side so people don't think I'm weird and have some kind of weird thing. It's a wreath. So,
Yes. So
anyway,
let me remind people again because I'm going to have Stacy introduce herself. I am not Lynette. I know. Surprise, surprise. We may look alike because, that's my sister in Christ. But I am hosting this live for her where we are going to talk about grief. Again, do not forget about Lynette's wonderful book, Letters to Mom, which she has been writing about her mother's passing, and God put it on her heart to publish this book to help others. Again, it is available for $25 for pre-order. You can go in our bio and click the link to order your copy now. I'm going to allow Stacy to introduce herself to everyone and let them know about what she got going on with her book as well before we begin. So go ahead and introduce yourself to everyone, Stacy.
well, my name is Stacy Weisman. I also am Lynette's best friend and Sister Goose's best friend. We just three amigos. And amigas, I should say. And I am an up and coming author. My book is actually right now, as we speak, in the process of being uploaded to Amazon. And so I'm excited about that. My book is called Get Your Healing, and it basically talks about gaining and maintaining internal healing and knowing how to heal as you go through things. A lot of us have things that we've been through in our lives, and we've hung on to them and hung on to them. And so this book is a way for us to not hang on to things and deal with them as they come. And so I'm excited about the book. It is available for pre-order as well. In my bio, you can go to my bio and send me a DM, and I will give you all the information that you need for that. Also, Lynette writing coach has in her link in her bio to pre-order her book as well. And so I basically have been just amazed by how God connects me with the people, and how we are able to just help other people through that process of grief, through the process of forgiveness. And when someone passes away and you didn't have a chance to forgive them to their face, it's a different story. And sometimes we feel like we need an apology to forgive someone, and that type of thing. And so we're going to talk about all that kind of stuff today. I'm so excited to be here. I apologize for the lighting. I'm at my mom's house, and I don't.
You
She
fine.
doesn't
We can
have a.
see Stace. We can see. Um,
So, the more important thing is the words that are being spoken, and so that is me.
yes,
Sure,
thank
there'll
you.
be more.
Yes, thank you for introducing yourself. I know for a lot of people right now, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. A lot of people may be feeling thankful right now. A lot of people's cooking. I'm cooking. Um, but for some people, they don't see Thanksgiving as the same. For a lot of people, they have lost a loved one, where that person was the heart of Thanksgiving for them, or was a part of the reason they might have loved Thanksgiving, um, and they changed their mood about the holiday. Some people don't want to do Thanksgiving, and it's something very hard to deal with. I just want you to know, whoever is feeling this way right now, that I am praying for you. It's a very tough season this year. People has lost a lot of people, not only with COVID, but just sudden deaths, the killings, and everything else. Um, the question I wanted to first start off with is, how do we feel about the word grief? How do you feel about just that word, Stacy? Like, what comes to mind when you hear the word grief?
For me, the first word that comes to my mind is process. And you know what? You can be going through this process for as short of a time or as long of a time as you need. There's no rule as to how long the process should be. It's not like, oh, well, 6 months, you should be over this by now. Or you're over this in 6 months already, or you're moving on in 6 months. You know what I mean? There's no parameter, there's no rule that says, hey, this is the amount of time you need, and that type of thing. It's not like, okay, when you're making a recipe, you have an hour, this is how long it takes to cook. That's not the case. There are things, ingredients and things that you need to go through grief, but know that not everyone grieves the same way, in the same order, or in the same time frame. That's kind of what the process people cannot expect themselves to go through a process the way that everyone else does, because we are all different people. Obviously, we know this,
Yeah,
but sometimes we get caught up in comparing our grief journey, or our journey period, with someone else's journey. And when we go through that, when we compare ourselves to someone else, like for instance, if I compared myself with someone else who has been through grief in their life, you kind of shortchange yourself, because if you're expecting yourself to be like someone else and not to get through it on your own,
yeah.
in your own way, with God's help, you shortchange yourself, because you're expecting yourself to be someone that you're not.
Yes, yes, yes. And for those who are listening, feel free to answer that question as well as, how do you feel when you think about the word grief? For me, um, I feel, when I hear the word grief, lost. It's lost for me. I don't automatically think of death. I think of loss. Um, and for me, grief doesn't have to be about losing a loved one. It could be losing a job. It could be, losing that relationship. It could be the loss of self. I'm grieving over the person I used to be, trying to get used to the person I'm becoming now. So that's what I think about when I hear the word grief. Um, but I feel like when you have that one person that you love that goes away, I feel like that's when the word grief changed for us, because it's something totally
Yeah,
different.
yeah,
You feel me on
absolutely.
that, Stacey?
Yeah. Well, and the thing of it is too, is like my situation is probably different than anyone else's situation, or at least that I've heard of. Not saying that no one's been through a similar place that I have come from, but it's interesting that you say we're grieving the person that we used to be. You can grieve the person that you thought you should
Oh,
be or that you could have been. And so hello, my sister's on here. Hey, Jen. Um and you know, we can grieve the person that we thought we could have been, or if we didn't have a childhood like how everyone else did, we can grieve what we had expected to be our
yes,
a childhood. And so yeah, we can grieve the person that we used to be, but we can also grieve what our expectations,
yes,
like what our expectation of, like how, like I didn't expect my childhood to be the way it was, and so I can grieve for a better life in the
yes,
past. And sometimes we can get ourselves caught up in grieving for what we thought should have happened, when in all actuality, the things that happened, if we allow God to use them, will make us into a better person and make us be able to help other people through. So
yes. So now that we did some of the icebreakers of leading us into talking about grief, now I want to get to that person we attach with grief today. So,
right.
who have you lost that you are having a hard time grieving over? It could be recent, um, it could be something that happened a long time ago. Because for me, there's no time limit on grief.
No.
Um, so, who's someone for you right now, Stacy, that you're working on your grieving with right now?
you know like I had explained earlier, and I'm so glad to be able to share this, because it's become something of a it's been a healing process for me just recently. And so there's actually two people, and they're kind of connected in a way. So the first person that I want to talk about is my birth father. Now, my birth father, he took his own life when I was 6 months old, but I did not find out that he took his own life until I was in 10th grade.
Mm,
My mom all the while had told me that he was alive somewhere in some place that began with M, and I don't remember what place she told me. It might have been different places at different times. And so I was in 10th grade when I found out that my birth father had took his own life. And so at that point I went through a series of, suicidal things myself. And so here recently, the Lord just took me through a process where I actually wrote a poem about that particular situation and how I feel about it. And it's like what I was saying before. We grieve what we could have been. We grieve what we could have had. And so one of the things for me was, all of the things that fathers and daughters do together that are, like things that you.
yes. Let's give her a second. It froze. It's probably loading right now. Fix it right now, Lord, in the name of Jesus. The enemy be trying to work, y'all, but we still gonna talk about this subject on grief right now. I want to give Stacy a minute. And Stacy, if you can hear me, if you have to, you can leave and come back down. We'll have her come back up. So I will do that right now. And for
For
those
those.
of you who are coming in, we are talking about grief.
Yes.
This whole live and topic is based off of my best friend's book, Letters to Mom, which is available for pre-order now for $25, where she has written and shared her journey about how she lost her mother. And if you want to read that book and pre-order it now, you can do that in her bio for $25. I'm telling y'all, I got to hear some of this book, and it's very powerful for anyone who lost anybody. It doesn't have to be your mother. And I'm so proud of Lynette for taking on the task and the calling of talking about grief. So go ahead and continue what you were talking about,
I was like,
Stacey.
oh, we're
Grief
done.
that I had. Yeah, but you were
Okay.
saying you was grieving over of what you could have had
So
with the father.
what I one of the things that I have witnessed fathers and daughters do together, like I was saying, father daughter dances, you know,
Yes.
laying on your father's chest and hearing his heartbeat,
Mm-hmm.
knowing that he's going to be there for you and that he's going to have your back, and all of these things. And so in my early years, my first 5 years of life, it was just me and my mom. And so, I mean, and I was cool with it because I love my mom, and you know, and I was, you know, little. And then when she introduced another male into our family, it was not it was not good. And
Yeah.
so I can grieve what it would have been if my dad had not done what he did. And so then we would have been a family. And you know, so I got myself caught up with that particular thought process too. And so when I wrote the poem, it was a way of me saying these are things that I missed, that he took from me by making that decision. However, I realized, how do I know that my life would have been better if he had lived?
Wow.
And I can't base my life's decisions and my atmosphere and climate on what would have happened if he had not made that choice, because he made it. And he didn't probably realize the ramifications of his choice. Now, here is the caveat for me. After I wrote this poem and I said, I will shut the door to this particular pain because I am not going to allow what someone else did, good or bad, to determine the way I identify myself
Come
and
on.
the way that I present myself. I'm not going to allow this pain to overshadow or hold me to my past. And it's interesting. Wow. Okay. Sorry. I'll tell you about something else later. But here's the thing: when we allow the chains of our past to keep
Mm,
us linked to it, we are giving power to a
yeah.
person who does not belong having that power.
Come
We give that power to a father or an uncle or a grandma, whether or not they were good or bad in our lives. When we allow that grief to connect us and keep us connected to how things were in the past, or the things surrounding that particular, you know, death or loss,
on. Yeah.
because not every loss is death. Not every loss is death. There's divorce, there's adoption, there's abandonment of a child, foster care, and I went through that as well. But the main thing that the main thing that brings me to this point then, and why I feel like the person that was my dad, who decided at when I was 6 months old that he didn't want to be in this world anymore, um, and I had to work through, I wasn't good enough for him to stay for. I
Yeah.
had to work through,
Mm.
I, you know, if it was good for him, then it was good for me. Maybe I should just leave too. And so when I was in 10th grade, I went through all of those emotions. Now, fast forward to when I started writing this book and how God brought that healing process around. So I wrote the book, it was finished. It took me about 2 weeks to finish the bulk of it. And that's kind of really crazy, because then after 2 weeks, then God was like, okay, you're not done yet though. You need to go back and you need to put these personal things in there. And
Right.
so fast forward to like 2 weeks ago when my ex stepdad passed away. Now, um, I'm not grieving his death because I was not close to him and I didn't ever want to be close to him. But it reminded me of the loss that I had, and then again I had to go back and process that, grieving the person that I could have been if I'd had my real
Yeah.
dad.
It brought it back up.
And so what we need to understand is, if we live our lives saying how my life could have been if something had been different, we will miss what's happening right now in our lives. We will miss what God is doing. Or even if you're not a Christian and you don't believe in God, we'll miss the good things that are happening now in our lives because we're stuck on what it could have been.
Yes. That's so
And
good.
there's a song, um, and it's I forget who sings it, but it could have been. Basically, it could have been so beautiful, could have been so right, could have been, all these things. And so if we spend our life singing the could have been song, it
Yeah.
could have been this way, it should have been this way, or it would have been this way if this hadn't happened. But the beautiful part is that if we will surrender and allow God to take those thoughts of could have been, coulda, shoulda, woulda, and say, okay, well, it didn't happen that way.
Yeah.
We can't go back and change what happened. All
Yes.
we can do is allow God to help us walk into our future, not chain to our past, and be able to help other people unlink from their past too.
Mm-hmm.
Because the beautiful part about this particular subject, that which we are going to be talking about probably for a very long time, because I feel like this is something that people really are afraid to talk about. They're afraid to say, I'm angry with this person because they left me. And you know what? I had to go through that anger. I had to say, I am angry because you chose to take your own life and leave me. And now look what happened. And so I blamed him for a lot of things. And it wasn't until the age of 40, was it 40? That was 7 years ago, 40, that I was able to actually go to my dad's grave and say, I forgive you for all of these things that
Wow.
happened to me because you left me. And
Mhm.
I blamed him, even though he was not there. I blamed him for not being there. And then I had to take it full circle and be like, but you know what? I don't know if you would have done worse to me if you had lived. And so we have to just resolve that even when bad things happen, God can use them for his good.
Yes.
And so the person that I grieve, that and I'm not going to say that I will always grieve, but I will always have, that moment or moments where I think about, well, what would my life have been like if
Yes.
he had lived, if he had, even if after he shot himself, he was in a coma for 2 weeks, he could have came out of that and then been a vegetable. And then what would it, you know what I'm saying? So we have to think about it. And it's terrible and it's horrible when we lose people that we love.
Yes.
But we also have to realize that we can't hang on to the people that we lost, because if we hang on to the people that we lost and live our lives in what would have happened if they had lived, or if COVID hadn't taken them, or if a heart attack hadn't taken them, or if they hadn't died of cancer, or if they hadn't been killed in a motorcycle accident, whatever situation was around the death of the person that we love, we have to free ourselves by letting that go. But here's the thing, and I'm going to say it again because someone probably wasn't in the last broadcast, or the first part of the broadcast. We cannot say, well, okay, it's been a year, so I should be done with this by now.
Exactly.
Because you know what? I'm 47. My father died 47 years ago.
Can't put a time limit on grief.
And I still have moments where and even though I didn't know him, I knew he was supposed to be there.
Yeah.
I knew that there was someone not there. Even as a young child, I knew that something was missing. And then when my mom added my stepdad to the equation, I thought at first, oh, this is what we were missing, and it wasn't. But
Yeah.
that's a subject for another time. But all I'm saying is, when he passed 2 weeks ago, it reminded me, and I had to go back and re-forgive, and then go through some of that grieving process and say, you know what? I am not going to play the blame game, and I'm not going to allow what happened to control
Yeah.
me and that person to have that kind of power, because that's not the way that it should be.
Yes. I just want to let people know who are coming in that we are talking about grief. I am not Lynette, as you know, but I am her best friend, Sister Goose. And we're talking about grief. We're talking about how it feels when you lose somebody and when we're going through. I'm about to answer the same question as Stacy too. And I just want you all to know, for those who do not know, Lynette has a book that is available for pre-order, Letters to Mom, which you can purchase right now for $25 in her bio. The link is right there, where you can click and pre-order your book. And I'm going to answer the same question that I asked you, Stacey. Your answer was so good. Okay, on who we have lost that we are still grieving over. Mine is still fresh. Um, I just lost one of my actors, who wasn't just an actor, but she was a friend. She was my sister, and I am going through what you are saying right now that you've been through. I am thinking of the what ifs. I am thinking of, okay, how are we supposed to move forward now? Because she was one of the main characters in my book, um, one of my main actors. And I can't see nobody else being her, nobody else playing her. Um, I even went as far as I'm thinking about the future. See, mine is what if for the future, because when this girl came along on this project, and we done became an acting family, literally. Um, we was planning our future together, and now a part of me is grieving over a future that she will not be a part of. And that is a very, very tough pill for me
Mm-hmm.
to swallow right now. It's very, very tough. Um, because I keep thinking of all the things that we said we was gonna do and now we can't do. So for me, it's not just grieving over her, but it's grieving over our dreams. I'm grieving over the dreams that me and Tiffany had together. I'm grieving over the place that
Yeah.
me and her plan to go together. I'm grieving
Mm-hmm.
over our dream. And I'm going to be honest, literally, excuse me,
Bless you.
literally, the day before I found out that she died, I was writing Rhonda's book. I was writing her
Oh
character's book.
my
And I
God.
was saying, it's
Mm.
time for Rhonda to have her own book, because I already finished my second book. My second book's about to go to the editor in December. And I'm like, okay, it's time to write Rhonda's book, because we did Ruth, and Rhonda became such a favorite that
Mm-hmm.
everyone wanted to know about.
Absolutely.
Mind you, Rhonda didn't become a favorite because they read the book. She became a favorite because they came to the play. They watched
Yes.
YouTube. They watched us go live on
Mm-hmm.
IG. They fell in love with Rhonda because of who Tiffany made her out to be when she brought
Yeah.
her to life. So I started
Wow.
writing Rhonda's book. I said, okay, it's time. I'm planning this in my head. I'm telling myself, Tiffany's going to be so happy when I tell her I'm writing Rhonda's book. Tiffany's going to be so glad, because right now we're about to shine the spotlight on her. I done told myself, and y'all forgive me, I'm a little tearful. I didn't even said I was going to have her on the book cover. Okay. I wanted her to be on the book cover with some boxing gloves around her neck, and
Right?
she was
Yeah,
going to
because
be
she yeah.
Tiff. Tiff was going to be my book cover. We talked about
Mm.
this, and I seen it. So now I'm grieving over everything, but I know that's not going to happen, and
Mm.
it's very hard for me, because now it's like, okay, Lord, how do I write from here? How do I move on from here? And yes,
Yeah.
I know I have other actors. I love all my actors. But you have that one that is your heart. And Tiffany was my heart,
Yeah.
because people didn't see Tiffany the way I saw her. People didn't get her. And right now, it's very hard for me to redream again. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I have
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
dream again. And right now I'm like, I don't want to, because
Right. That means letting go.
if I redream again, then that means Tiffany ain't gonna go.
Yeah.
And that's very hard for me to do.
Yeah.
It's very, very hard for me to do. She was my first actor. She was my
Yeah.
first actor before anybody else said yes. And then
Yeah.
I go through the stage of I get angry. I get angry because I'm like, Lord, you had to take her now.
Right.
You couldn't have show the whole world how great she was first. And then I had the regret feeling. Lord, why didn't you have me write Rhonda's book first?
Right.
Why couldn't I write Rhonda's book
Mm.
first? Ruth could have went second, dag on it. I've been going through that. I'm like, Rhonda could have went first.
Right.
Rhonda could have went first. And I'm going through that. And so it's very hard for me because Tiffany is more than just grieving over a person. I'm a dreamer.
Yeah.
Whoever knows me, and you know me, Stacy,
No, I do.
I'm a
Yes, I
dreamer.
do. You got me
I like to
crying over
play
here.
imagination,
Yeah.
and it's hard to tell a dreamer that you can't keep on holding on to that
That,
dream no more.
well, and that, yeah, or you have to change the dream. The dream has to be adjusted. And for a dreamer, and I don't know, I don't know if I'm necessarily a dreamer. I mean, I have dreams. I have dreams about what I need, my life, or what I'm hoping my life looks like, what I'm hoping that, or what I'm believing that God is going to do. But when you are very specific, like your dreams are not, and you have probably already put some of your dreams down on paper so that you can run with them. And so now this particular part of the dream, now I'm going to say this though, you can still take her with you,
Yeah, I plan on.
because you know her, and it can be like a flashback thing.
Yeah,
Like, you know what I'm saying, like where you can flash back to, well, when
just
she was here,
confirmation
this
because I was thinking that.
see. And so, but at the same time, you still are gonna have to go through the anger and this sucks phase, and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sorry if that's a word you don't like, but you know uh you know when this sucks, this stinks. And you know what, the other part, and I just actually, my high school boyfriend just passed away a few days ago. And I mean, there was no love lost there. When we parted ways, we parted ways. We were still cool with each other, but there wasn't, it was a high school romance, and it wasn't even really. But he just passed a few days ago, and I couldn't help but say, man, I'm just glad it wasn't me, because I still got things to do. God still got things He's doing with me, and not, and so I'm glad that I'm still here. And then you almost feel guilty for being glad that you're still here.
Yes.
And so that's another thing to it, especially for someone like you, with the big heart that you have. I mean, you just include and want everyone to be included. And so I'm just saying, bring her along, and let her still be part of this. And you
Yes.
know um and you could even have another actor just be speaking about, oh, well, if she was here, this, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want it to be
Yeah.
your voice, you could find someone else's voice to be that voiceover of, well, to speak
Mm-hmm.
about Rhonda and what she, when you're doing your little, when you're doing your videos and stuff. But
Yeah.
anyway, it's,
Well, the
I
good thing
look,
is, I our season that's coming out, she got to finish out her season, so
that's
people will
good.
get to
That's
see
good.
her episode, and people will get to see why I love this girl so much. They'll get to see how talented she is.
Right. Oh,
Um,
and I
Everything
loved
you
her from the
said
first
is
time I heard her
true,
start talking.
girl. You know it. That's
I'm
what I'm
telling
saying. You
you.
see the play. You
And I didn't even really know her. Like, I didn't have her, in as a connection. I just knew her through you. And man, when she first started talking, I was like, man, I love this girl. I love this
That's
girl
what I'm
because,
saying. She was
yeah,
good. For those
Yeah.
who are coming in, I just want to refreshen up a little bit. Look, I feel like I'm on Clubhouse. I want to
I know.
refreshen the live up a little bit. We are doing
Reset
this
the
live
room.
video on Let's Talk About Grief with Sister Goose and Stacy. Lynette was not able to do the live. Keep her in y'all's prayers. Um, but we are talking about this grief topic because God put it on Lynette's heart to really talk about grief. It's a subject a lot of people don't want to talk about. And God has had her use her gift to write a book about her own grief that she went through when she lost her mom, with her book, Letters to Mom, which is available for pre-order now for $25. You can click the link in Lynette's bio to order your book. I'm telling y'all, it's a good, it's a good book. And I feel like this book is going to really help a lot of people who are grieving because she's so honest. I'm tired of the pretty grief. She's so honest.
I
She's just telling it like it is. And this is so good. Hello. This is another good way to lead me into the next question since I talked about how Lynette used her writing with grieving. Because let me tell you, and I know y'all because that's my best friend. We talk a lot. Okay. That's my sister. And Lynette was like, not long after her mom passed away, she really got down to writing her story about her mother, and that was the journey that helped her to start to heal. So that leads me to my question with you, Stacy. How do you use your writing with your grieving to help you heal? How do you use your writing, whether it's poetry? I know you got your book, but in other ways,
Yeah.
how do you use your writing to help you with grieving?
So there's a couple of things. I did write the poem about, and I'm looking for somewhere to publish that. So if you know of somebody that's doing like a book of poetry about grief or about that kind of subject, you can hook me up definitely because I'm looking to publish that poem somewhere. Because I feel like that poem is a lot of what other people have gone through when they've lost a parent, whether
Yeah.
it's a mom or a dad. The situation applies to both. And so I do I'm not a big poetry writer, but I really feel like that poem kind of put me in a place where I might do some spoken word, I might do some of that type of stuff, because when we're dealing with difficult situations, being able to put those things into, for me, I've always been able to write. Like I wrote like short stories when I was in high school. But I think the main way for me to use writing as a healing tool is my prayer journaling. And so I was introduced to prayer journaling by a really amazing woman. Her name is Destiny, and she walked me through a lot of things, a lot of forgiveness and things like that. But she walked me through the process of being able to journal, pray, and hear the voice of God for myself, because I was have no problem hearing the voice of God for you. I can sit on the phone with you and God could tell me about you, and I can tell you about you because God told me about
Yeah.
you. But when I was looking to hear for myself, like what I needed, when I needed comfort, when I needed a word, and I found myself, like frustrated because I wasn't hearing God for myself, or at least I didn't think I was. Because sometimes we think that the voice of God is going to sound like, Kevin Costner or
So
James
true.
Earl Jones or James Earl Jones, or
Yes.
one of those, Stacy. We think that that voice is going to come, but it's actually, more often than not, the voice of God sounds like your own voice in your head. It's your own thought. And it was
To be
really
a
kind of
music you
interesting.
play. Come on now, tell them, State.
And the thing of it is, when I began to journal pray, I began to realize that I was hearing God's voice the whole time. And when I realized that, actually, like it was probably after like the first couple of months, and I didn't do it religiously because, things get busy, and we put something down and then we pick it back up and we put it down. And for me, this prayer journal, I think, is going to be my next book. And
Yes.
even though it's not consistent, and I don't have, like, it's not all, every day, but I really believe that it's going to show people the process that I went through, realizing, hey, I'm hearing the voice of God. And it was probably about maybe 2 or 3 months after I started that process of doing my prayer journaling, that I sat there one day after doing my prayer journal, and I just wept because I
Yes.
was like, God, you have always been talking to me. Even as a child, when I was going through abuse, when I was going through all of the things that are not going to be talked about on this particular broadcast, but the stuff that I went through, the stuff that made me who I am today, because I chose to allow God to use it.
Yeah.
Um, you were there back then. And there was a point where I was, when I was going through, I think I was remembering when I was in 10th grade and my mom had told me that. And then I went through that whole process of how my life could have been different and all that kind of stuff. Um, and I remember sitting there after that prayer journal and sitting there saying, Lord, you were there the whole time speaking to me.
Yes. Yes.
And that was like probably one of the hugest healing processes that I've ever been through, when I realized, here I've been expecting brother so and so and sister so and cousin and grandma and auntie to be that rock for me, to be that person for me, when my mom couldn't, and when my stepdad wouldn't. And when we were put in our first foster home, and how that was not, that they couldn't either, they didn't. I
Yes.
don't I can't really speak for them because
Yes.
I'm not them. But hi Lainey. And so I was like, at that point, here I'm expecting all of these human beings to be that rock for me, and God, you were there the whole time. And God,
Yeah.
you were talking to me even though I didn't know it was you. You were telling me that I was okay. You were telling me that I was enough. You were telling me that I was beautiful even when I thought I was ugly, because why would my dad take his life if I was such a beautiful baby? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, why wasn't I enough for him to stay for? And so, when I realized that all throughout my life, even before I gave my life to God, he was there
Mm-hmm.
and he was talking to me. And when I realized that that voice in my head that I keep hearing was him.
Yes.
And so for me, it was the prayer journaling. And I can even go like, and I think I have read a couple of them in the pens, papers, and tea
Yeah.
room. um when I write out my prayer, and then I write out what I hear God saying to me, and I go back and I look at those things, and I'm like, he really is talking to me. I know this is not me, because this is not something that I would say. This isn't coming
Yes.
out in my tone of voice. And so when I started that when I started, and I need to get back to prayer journaling. Yes, I know I need to get back to prayer journaling again. But it seems when my life is super busy and I stop the prayer journaling, I know, because God then starts talking to me through other people. Like,
Right?
and it's always the same thing. And so here's the thing. Regardless of the grief that we go through, whether it's like last week fresh or if it's 47 years ago, the grief it's a process.
Mm.
And you know what? That process could be your whole life, because you will always be missing that person after they've left.
Yes.
However, you don't have to allow that missing that person to be your focal point.
That's so true.
And I know that there are times when it's difficult. And Father's Day forever was horrible for me. I hated Father's Day. I didn't want to go to church on Father's Day, because they would have these, put these videos on the screen about fathers and daughters and fathers and sons and all this kind of stuff. And it would make me angry, because I didn't have that. And
Mm.
their fathers I did have prior to my last foster home were poor excuses.
Yeah.
And so here I am angry because I don't have a father. And when I started doing this prayer journaling thing, it was almost like, I'm got a kick in the gut. Like, I'm your father and I've been there the whole time.
Yes. I
And so, whew, Lord,
mm,
sorry, that was deep.
yes, it was. And I want to give a shout out to my people who are here who love Tiff Pink, because I seen her people came in. Shout out to y'all. Thank y'all for coming through. For all those who love Tiff Pink. For me, with writing with grief, because I have been writing. I have definitely been writing since Tiff has passed away, and it's helped me remember she's gone, but she's not forgotten. I need to feel
Right.
that. I need to feel she's gone, but not forgotten. Because it's like, okay, this is going to be my way of honoring her. That's how I'm thinking right now with my writing. Me and my
Mm-hmm.
actors, I already talked to like two or three. We already got our plan. We know what we're going to do. We're going to do something special just for Tiff, aka Ra Ra Rhonda, this summer and upcoming spring. Do I got to start all over? Yeah. Do I care? No, because I need this. And I feel like I need this because, first of all, with Tiff, I want to make it very clear as a writer, and if you're a writer, you may not understand this. With Tiff, I didn't just lose a friend and a sister. I lost two people. I lost Tiff Pink and I lost Ra Ra Rhonda.
Mm-hmm.
Because your characters are real for you.
Yeah,
And she
exactly. I
made the
completely
character
understand
even
that.
more real for me. So I didn't just lose a friend, I
Right.
lost a character as well. A character I wasn't prepared to lose, mind you, nor was I prepared to lose her. So it was two shockings for me. So right
Right.
now, with writing, it is helping me to deal with the loss of my friend and my character. So I'm starting to write it so it can become real to me because I feel like I need to. I don't know if it makes sense for people, but sometimes you know they're gone, but sometimes you need something to really help you sink it in that they're gone. And it's really been hard for me, y'all, because not only did I lose Tiff, who played Rhonda, but I also lost Mama Marva, the person who really is Marva in my book. She passed away the same week as Tiff Pink. So I lost two people that I love. That was a big part. And Mama Marva never got to read my book. She never got to hear it.
Mm.
She never, she got to know that I wrote a book, but she was too sick to read or hear it. And I do plan on giving a book to her daughter. So her daughter know that her mother will forever live on in my book and on my TV show. But writing for me, even though they are not physically here, my pen remind me that they are still here in my heart. They
Right.
still here in my imagination because writing for
Mm-hmm.
me is playing with my imagination. They are still in my imagination world. So they may be gone physically and their
Right.
spirit may be near and I can't touch them, I can't feel them, but I can write about them.
Right.
Can't imagine them in my imaginary world. Um, and sometimes recently, I'm not gonna lie, recently when I was writing about Rhonda and Marva, because in Let's Hear It, we did Let's Hear It short because it was just so hard for us, Stacey. That's why you missed it. It wasn't your fault.
I was
But then
like,
you come an
where is
hour later.
everybody?
It wasn't your fault. We just couldn't do it that long because it was too hard for Granny, me, and Lynette was doing stuff. It was too
Mm.
hard. We couldn't do it that long. Um, but recently, when I wrote about Marva and Tiffany, a scene that I read about them together, as I was writing it, I was listening to Tiff's YouTube page. I needed to hear her voice. I needed to
Wow.
hear her voice as I was writing.
Wow.
I needed to hear it so I wouldn't forget what she sounds like as I was writing.
Right.
Because her voice became Rhonda to me. So
Right.
writing,
Exactly.
writing for me is still keeping them alive with ink. That's what it is for me.
That's
So
good.
we're actually about to end this live, but before we do, I gotta ask this one last question. We can't just talk about grief and share our grieving experience and not give nobody encouragement, right? Stace, what's that
Right.
about?
Come on.
So Stace,
That's what I'm all about.
I know. So Stace, what would be your encouraging words for someone who is dealing with grief right now that's fresh for them? What would be your encouraging word?
You know, there's two people that I want to talk to. One is someone who believes in God and knows Jesus as their personal Lord and Savior. For me, the grieving process, whether it was a grandpa or a grandma that passed, or a friend, or what have you, knowing that God is always there. And you know, the scripture says he will never leave us nor forsake us, but I like to say he will always be there.
Yes.
Because, you know, for me, I never had someone that was always there. Like, you know, some people's moms were there for their whole lives, and made them Sunday dinners, and sewed their clothes and did all that kind of stuff. I didn't have that kind of mom. And of course, I've already shared what happened with my dad. And so when we lose someone in the physical realm, in the natural realm, we have a spiritual father that is always there for us. And you
Yes.
know, here's the thing, and this is what I had to learn. He always wants to hear us talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? We don't have to worry about whether he's busy or not. We don't have to worry about whether he's serving dinner to his family, or whether he's working, or whether he's, you know, in a meeting. He's always there. You know, our parents, our friends, they have their lives, they have things, but God is always there, and he wants to hear us talk to him. And you know what? I had worked through, oh, but God knows everything. So why do I have to tell him? It's not necessarily that you have to tell him, it's that you need to hear yourself say the words.
Mm.
And I found for me that, along with writing, talking to God about how I was feeling was very therapeutic, was very helpful. And then I want to talk to the person who maybe doesn't know God, or maybe they know of God, but they really haven't taken that step to give God their life.
Yeah.
Find someone you can talk to, even if it is your dog or your guinea pig or your cat, or
That's right.
whatever. You know, you have to talk about it. Grief is not an easy subject. And when you're going through things, when you're going through a loss of a friend, or a loss of a sister, or a loss of a mother, or a loss of a brother, whatever loss you're going through, you have to talk about it. Because
Yes.
if you don't talk about it, it will become something that will actually take you over.
Yes.
And so when you talk about it, you give it it's a release. It's a kind of release. And I would just encourage, whether you're going to talk to God about it, or whether you're going to talk to your dog Fido about it, it doesn't matter. The words have to come out.
Mm.
And for me, I spent a lot of time not talking about what happened in my life. I spent a lot of time not sharing. And because I did that, I began to be physically sick.
Yes.
Like, my
Yes.
physical body was sick, because I was holding on
That's
to
so true. That
unforgiveness, and
happens.
holding on to bitterness, and holding on to the, you know, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Like I said earlier, we have to, the words have to come out.
Mm.
And you know what? If you don't say it to God, and you feel like talking to your dog makes you look like an idiot, then get you a pen and a piece of paper and write it, and then read it out loud. You know,
Ooh.
write it down and read it out loud. Because here's the thing: when you hear yourself say the words, it's a release. And if you don't want to go to a psychiatrist because you feel like that makes you, you know, which, look, if you got to go to a psychiatrist or a psychologist or a counselor,
Yep. Therapist.
yes,
Now.
do it. Do it. Because you have to have some way of getting those emotions up and out, so that they're not festering inside of you. And so I would just encourage anyone from any walk of life: get the words out. Get them out on paper. Get them out of your mouth. Get them out to whoever will listen.
Yes.
You know, you can have your best friend, and you know, and you're having a rough time, and you just need your best friend to talk to. That's great too. But find some way to get those words up and out, because it's when you get those words up and out, you can look at them then, and you can see them for what they are. You can
Yes.
gauge, and you can process them. The thing that I don't want to happen to anybody that I know is 10 years from now you're still dealing with the same thing you're dealing with right now.
Come on now. Yes. That's
Yes,
true.
you might still be grieving Rah Rah Rhonda in 10 years from now because you'll remember how she was. You'll be able to go to her YouTube page and listen to her talk. And it might still be, you might still be having a process, but you're not holding on to that particular thing. You're in a different place. You're still in that process, but you're in the process. You're not stuck in one place. So
Yes.
the way of getting those words out is a way for you to not be stuck in in holding on to something that is not designed for you. See, the human body, the human mind is not designed to carry negative emotions. And so when negative things happen, we have to process them, get them up and out, look at them, and then move forward. And if we don't move forward, we'll be stuck where we're at. And that's part of the healing process, is being able to get those words up and out, look at them, realize what they are, lay them down, and continue moving. And you know what, there, like we were saying earlier, there's no parameters on the grief cycle. You can be going in the grief cycle for your whole life but still be doing it in a healthy way. And so getting
Exactly.
those words up and out, that would be my encouragement. Getting those words up and out, saying things like, this sucks. I'm glad it wasn't me. I'm glad I'm still here. I'm glad that God's not through with me yet. I'm glad that, that I can still go to my 9 to 5, or I can still see my family. I can still see my brothers and sisters. I can, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
not feeling guilty for being happy that you're here, but also being able to walk through that process. The key is, and this is what I would say, is get the words out, get them
Yes.
out, say how you feel,
Come
look
on.
at it, and then lay it down.
That's so good. That's a good word, Stacey, because it's hard to get it out. I want to tell you too, Linda, the storyteller. I'm glad you found us as well. I don't know how you found us, but God brought you here at the right time. And Granny, I saw yours. It's hard to write right now. I've been trying. I know it is because Granny and Tiff was very, very best friends. Very, very best friends. So I want to encourage my people for Tiff Pink that are watching right now, because I know a lot of you came over. We wasn't ready. That's a fact. We wasn't ready. We wasn't prepared. We didn't see it coming. We don't always have the answer to why, because I'm asking the same question of all of you. I'm asking the same question, why? And sometimes in the season, God don't give us the answer. We don't always have the answer to why. But what we do know is when we feel sad and we miss Tiffany, one thing I do know is I'm happy I knew her. Because there's a lot of people who never got to meet her. There's a lot of people who never got to see her. And I had to remind myself that I'm so glad that I met her, that I got to see her, that I knew her, that she was my friend, that she was my sister. It's going to be hard right now because a lot of us missed them phone calls. A lot of us missed her on iStereo. Tiff was very big on iStereo of doing her real talk. And for some of you, it might be hard when you go on iStereo and you realize she's not there. And it's okay. It is okay to hurt right now. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay if you have a hard day. But like Stacy said, let's be a community and check on each other. Let's check on each other. I
That's
check on
good.
Granny, and Granny checks on me. Her other friend checks on me as well, and I check on her. Okay, I done met some people from Tiff, um, And remember the good times y'all had. Remember the good times you had. Yeah, I know that was your twin on stereo. I know. I love listening to Tiff, and she would always crack me up because she would be like, sister, you're a Christian woman. I'm letting you know I'm gonna be saying what I need to say up on there. You might not want to come here. And I was always telling her, I don't judge. Yes, I'm a godly woman, but I do not judge. I'm coming to support. I'm not coming to judge. I'm coming to support. And I want you to know, for the ones who really rode with her, who really ride with her and gave her that support, she loved y'all. And y'all know she did, because she talked about you all the time. She loved y'all. She made it clear of how she loved the ones who really show up, who really support, who really ride for her. And I know that there is some people who are saying stuff about her that is negative, but I'm going to tell y'all right now, don't y'all even let them get under your skin. Block them.
Mm-hmm.
Block them and keep it moving. Because one thing we not going to do is let nobody take us out of character, okay,
Mm-hmm.
talking about our sister. Because trust me, I get upset too. Block them. And I promise y'all, we are going to celebrate Tiffany the right way. We're going to celebrate her. Y'all celebrate her on stereo. Let me know. I will come. Let me know. I will come. When y'all first did it, I couldn't do it because it was still too fresh. Yes. And I want you to know, to the ones who did talk about her, but you was respectful enough to say that you're still sorry for a loss and you feel bad. I want you to know that God forgives you. Don't hold on to
Amen.
that guilt. God forgives you.
Mm-hmm.
Hear me? Ask God for forgiveness and He forgives you. Okay?
Yes.
I really want to say that because I know a lot of us, we might have beef with somebody when they're alive. I don't get along with everybody either. But when somebody passed away, that don't mean we still don't feel something. We don't feel condolences. Ask God for forgiveness. But other than the rest of that crap, we gonna block them. Cause let me tell you something, and this is guaranteed. And I'm about to
Yeah.
end this. This is a guarantee. They can talk about her all they want, but let me tell you something. Tiff's about to do something they never could do. Tiff is still about to be famous, even though she gone. Cause trust and believe, I'ma
Mm-hmm.
keep pushing Tiff. I'ma
Yeah.
keep pushing Rhonda. She gonna be the
Mm-hmm.
most famous deceased person you know. And some of them can't even make it famous alive. She gonna be one of the famous people you know. When we make
That's
it in the
true.
movie theater, you best believe we gonna show her picture at the end and say R.I.P. Tiff Pink, aka Rah Rah Rhonda. Tiff is gonna be one of the famous deceased people you know. This is not the end of her journey. So yes, I can't bring her with me physically on the dream, but I will still be bringing her with me.
Yeah.
She will be in the books, okay? She ain't got to die in the books, y'all, because you don't need to be alive to act the part in the books.
Come on now.
So she is still going to continue to live out her greatness in her dreams. I'm not going to let it die. And I'm not doing this for numbers. I'm not doing this for the fame. I'm doing this because I love Tiff. I love Tiff. I love her. She was talented. She was great. And this is how you do grief.
Yes.
This is how you do grief. When people try to knock you down, you show them that you're bigger than that and you keep moving. Because
Mm-hmm.
I could be arguing with people who talking about Tiff too, but I'm not going to do that. I'm bigger than that. And I'm going
Right.
to keep moving because I can show you better than I can tell you. Because when our season come out, so many people's going to see how great Tiff is. And if you look at my comments on my Facebook and stuff, a lot of people say how much they love Rhonda and they ain't even know her. So I just had to encourage y'all because I know it's tough and it's still fresh for us. Hashtag Tiff, aka Rah Rah Rhonda. That's the tag I came up with, and I'll share it with y'all so y'all can use it. And as I do, I just want to remind y'all. I'm gonna let Stacy remind them where they can follow you at and everything as I do the hashtag. And then I'm going to let
Okay.
people know one more time about Lynette's book and stuff, and we'll be ending this live. So let everyone know where they can follow you.
So thank you so much, sister, best friend, and Lynette, best friend, for having me on this live. This has been amazing, and I love to share the process. Um, and so you can find me pretty much everywhere on social media under Straight Talk with Stacy. That's STR, the number 8, Talk with Stacy. Um, I am on Facebook, Instagram, obviously Instagram, Twitter. I am on Snapchat as well. And
Yeah,
pretty
you
much
keep
anywhere.
going, Stacey.
Yep, pretty much anywhere on social media. If you type in Straight Talk, thank you. Thank you for typing that. Straight Talk with Stacy. You'll be able to find me. I've done hashtag Straight Talk with Stacy, so you'll be able to find me if you just type in hashtag as well. So pretty much everywhere you can find me. If you're interested in one of my books, Get Your Healing, how to a guide to gain and maintain healing, you can do that by just send me a DM on here or on Facebook if you're watching on Facebook. And you can DM me and I'll give you all the instructions on how to get a hold of your pre-order copy, autograph copy. Um, that's basically all. That's basically all I have, I believe. I'm not.
That's cool.
Yeah, I don't.
Yes.
It's not a whole bunch of different things. But you
But
can
that's
link
the
up
main
with
ones
me,
where we can
and
follow you.
yeah, they can follow me anywhere on social media. Um, Pretty much everywhere on social media. I have a YouTube channel as well, which is Straight Talk with Stacy. I always forget about YouTube. That's the one I always forget about. Um, but I have a YouTube channel, a Straight Talk with Stacy, and I have a bunch of videos on there. I actually go live um, every now and then on Facebook, and then I upload it to my YouTube channel so that people who don't have Facebook can actually go to YouTube and watch it. So yeah, I'm excited for what God is doing, and I'm so glad to have been here. This has been a treat, and even
Yes.
though it was a little difficult,
I know.
because it's not an easy
Patient.
subject. It's not an easy subject to talk about. But you know what? I'm willing to do the hard work if it helps someone else through their process.
Come
And
on.
that is how we should be. We should always be trying to help someone else. Even when we're in, you know what? Here's the key too. When we're in the middle of going through something, is the best time for us to bring someone along and show them, hey, I might fall, I might falter, I might trip, I might stumble, but I'm still gonna walk.
Yep. Yep.
So anyway, you can follow me anywhere. Like I said, I will be getting back to doing lives again here pretty soon.
Yep.
There's just a lot going on in my life right now, and thank you all for being here, for all of your amazing comments. I'm gonna have to go back and watch the replay so that I can see everybody's comments.
I
But
know.
I'm just so glad to be here, and I'm telling you, the next time that we have a talk like this, it's gonna be just as powerful. So make sure that you're tuning in. Make sure you're watching us for announcements because this is going to be. I think this is going to be a regular thing.
Yeah,
If
this
I
is
know
something
Lynette,
I
it's
want to be
going to be
doing
a
regular. So please,
yeah.
look, Stacey, don't be stealing my job. All right. Okay. So please make sure you follow this page. This is something that Lynette will continue to be doing. Again, this topic of Let's Talk About Grief is based off of Lynette's book, From Letters to Mom, which is available now for pre-order for $25. You can click the link in her bio. God has put it on her heart to really talk about grief. Um, Also, Lynette has something that's coming up. I would definitely love to invite all the ones like me because I will be going. All my Tiff Pink people. Lynette got a grief circle coming up December. In December, Lynette, tell me the date. Goodness, it done run away. It's December 6th, I believe. It's 6th or the 3rd at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Time. If you want information on this grief circle that Lynette is doing, you can DM her for the information. It's December 6th. Thank you. And let me put that there. So December 6th, okay, at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time and 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Lynette will be doing a grief circle to help support all those who have lost a loved one and who just need support and need to talk about the grief that they're going through. Please make sure you DM her for the information. She is here watching, so she will get the message. She will respond. I thank you all for watching this live. Stacy, thank you for joining us on this live to talk about your grief.
Thank you.
Um, Again, I'm not the host. I'm just the special guest host. Sister Goose. Y'all can follow me as well on my page, Sister Goose. And this is Lynette's Let's Talk About Grief. Until next time, everybody, I'm your girl, Sister Goose. And we will see y'all later. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving.